everyone. This is John.
And this is Connor.
And we are off timeline, this time in 1945 with Dick Tracy.
To get a picture of who Dick Tracy is, when we first see him in this movie, he's trying to get a confession out of this boy named Johnny. And he does this by making Johnny think that a murder has happened at his house.
Yeah, what I was kind of surprised about was that I always thought Dick Tracy was a private investigator, but it turned out he was actually a cop, like a police lieutenant. And I was like, oh, okay. That's something that, even though that character is so popular, I really had no idea about it.
Yeah, like they do say in the paper that he is an investigator, but there's definitely nothing that seems private about it. When we saw the shadow strikes last time, he worked with the police here and there, but was also trying to avoid them. But Dick Tracy seems to just be ride or die for the pigs, man.
Well, I think he's a cop. Like I don't think there's any denying that.
Yeah.
He's a pig himself. A cab, right? Just to bring it back real quick, because I think we kind of rushed into that one a little bit about the plot. Dick Tracy is, of course, based on a comic strip by a guy named Chester Gould. This is the first of a 4-part RKO series. So there was 4 movies made by the studio. I read online they paid like 10 G's for the rights, and then they just went for it. This guy, his name is Morgan Conway. That's who we have playing Dick Tracy. And there's like a bunch of interesting tea about the guy. A lot of people, a lot of people consider him the best Dick Tracy of all time, right? Mm-hmm. But I guess during that period, there was a guy that had played Dick Tracy earlier on, but just in like short movie serials, right? Like short before the movie films. Right. And they actually ended up replacing Morgan after the second movie, I think, just because so many people were dissatisfied with him.
Yeah, I was actually getting some of that. Once again, I watched this on YouTube. They have like a collection of all these old movies, and I was kind of going through the comment section, and that was kind of the sentiment from some people. Like, people were saying that they preferred the previous guy, but they were like, this guy, he's got a nice smile. He looks good.
Yeah, he definitely has a more of like a nice kind of vibe where, I don't know. I enjoyed him. He's a big guy. He's not handsome because I don't think Dick Tracy should be too good looking, right? He's kind of grizzled, like a piece of beef jerky or someone that's been smoking 20 years. You can kind of see like what they look like in the very beginning of the movie on the title cards, right? It has the drawings that are the same as they would have been from the comic strip itself.
Yeah, he's totally beef jerky, man.
Yeah, definitely. Babe jerky.
Babe jerky.
So yeah, okay, back to what you're saying, right? Like, we first see the guy, he's in the interview room, he's basically cracking a case, and then he's gonna have a hot date with, I'm guessing that was his secretary. There was totally no guidelines as to who you could date back then in office relationships. And before he gets to actually meet up with her, a woman is murdered and he's alerted to it.
I was also pretty confused about his relationship to Tess. Like, I looked up some like synopsises on the plot, and I don't think anybody ever said girlfriend or wife, but I did see sweetheart, like referred to as his sweetheart. That opening scene where Splitface kills that woman that we're talking about right now, where he gets like the alert for it. It's a lot different than the previous movie that we watched already in like terms of content.
Well, we don't know it's Splitface yet, right? It's still just like some murder in the shadows.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the content is different. It's definitely more violent, more graphic. This is 7 years later in 1945, post-war America. Maybe you're ready for a little more action. All right, so that woman dies, right? And then Dick is investigating the crime. He discovers a letter. It's written in that classic villain style with letters from newspapers, and it's he makes a comment how like Splitface can't spell, so we're automatically alerted that this guy's an idiot.
But he
which,
spells all the important words right, as Dick Tracy says.
oh yeah, just to get his meaning across, I guess. He's got like that fourth grade, fifth grade, middle school English.
Some of the letters are all backwards.
Yeah. For all we know, he could just have a learning impediment. Sorry, split face. But we also, like I said, split face is mentioned. He signs it. We know that that's his name. Pretty cool name, right?
For real, yeah, that's a scary name.
Yeah. It reminded me of Two-Face from Batman.
Yeah, same. I got some of those vibes as well.
Split face, man. Honestly, I think probably a solid precursor to a lot of the villains that we see later on in comic books, and maybe that's why Dick Tracy and Split Face as a villain is so important, right?
Yeah, definitely. I saw Dick Tracy as this very kind of flat character, but then I started thinking about the second act, where we meet Professor Starling, and we get to see more of Split Face in interactions, and it's like Dick Tracy is a really normal person in this world that just keeps getting weirder from the first act.
Yeah, definitely. They like try to lean into, fortune telling and magic, and I guess thriller, like in the sense
Definitely.
that like people are getting murdered. So leading into that second act, we have the murder starting. Dick is on the trail, and then he returns home though for a brief second, and we get to meet who I later found out was his son. I thought it was just some orphan that he had taken in and that was living upstairs, but he's got like a full crime lab going on.
I thought the same thing, and I got these big like Batman and Robin vibes for a second.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's more of like you're at home while I'm working, but there is definitely a sidekick vibe. I mean, it was weird to
Yeah.
see all this like forensic stuff. As someone who's played LA Noir, which takes place in like the same time period, I was like, oh, so there is like fingerprints and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
We don't really see him again until later on, because right afterwards, Dick starts getting super busy, and it turns out the mayor calls him over because the mayor has received a note similar to the one that Dick discovered earlier.
I thought it was like kind of a weird choice the way that they kind of portray the mayor, right? Like
He's a total just like wussy, man.
total wuss and totally self-centered. Like I think the most iconic line from him in the movie is when he gets all mad and he's just like, "I'm a popular man."
Yeah, he just doesn't understand how someone could want to kill him, But then again, you're the
Mhm.
mayor, dude. I don't even know what city is Dick Tracy in. I honestly don't know if
It's
it's
got to be New York, man. It's always New
probably.
York, right?
Yeah, probably. I think New York has a history of shitty mayors. This guy probably fits right in, but you definitely see. I feel like politicians, the people in power, they're always like the losers, right? They no matter how
Yeah.
strong, powerful they are, they're definitely like so weak mentally.
Yeah, hating politicians is like the American pastime.
Yeah, definitely. So the mayor is being a total bitch, and he's just like, "You're gonna protect me, or else." And so they set up basically a stakeout. They do some more police work, but it totally doesn't stop a second murder from happening.
Yeah, I love the whole stakeout scene. And I think it's like the final scene in that first act because there's so much built up tension, and behind the mailbox is a dog. And I think this proves that dogs are just hilarious forever, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's so funny that it caused like the whole police squad to like run over there. I'm surprised they didn't kill the dog on accident.
Oh man, that's terrible.
I mean, that's what would happen nowadays. But anyways, yeah. So
Jeez.
so they run over, total false alarm, total waste of money and police like
Yeah, what else is new?
resources. Yeah, what else is new? Dick Tracy's just another bastard cop. But he ends up, I think it's a little earlier. He goes also, and if you want to talk about bad police work, he goes to that one old guy's house. Dick Tracy has like another sidekick that's like a middle-aged guy. We don't see him a lot. You know what I'm talking
Pat
about?
Patton.
Pat Patton, man.
Pat Patton.
the classic chunky best friend. And
The
they
donut eater cop.
yeah, the donut eater. And they like illegally searched that old man's house so bad, like that he's sneaking through the windows at one point, just to find any sort of clue. I feel like back then, right, you just whatever it took to get the case done, didn't matter.
Home invasions are not off limits. Well, that's what I mean. Like when I said that about in the opening scene, we see him like scaring this dude into thinking that, somebody like killed his mom, to like get a confession out of him.
Yeah.
So that's just the kind of dude Dick Tracy is.
Yeah, you're right. He's that cop. He's real police, so he'll get it done, man. So skip forward a little bit and we finally get to Dick. He's scowling around trying to find something, and he ends up meeting the telescope guy. What was his name?
Oh, dude, that's the original Starboy, Professor Starling.
Yeah, exactly. Professor Starling, who was a pretty interesting character. He's like up top, looking through his telescope, and like Dick's trying to ask him questions, and he's giving him a hard time.
He's just like, time is not real.
Yeah, fuck the police. That's basically what he said in a matter of so many words, but
in the wokest way possible.
Yeah, Dick is like over it immediately too, and basically is like, look, dude, just either answer my question or I'm gonna crack you over the head with my pistol.
He's like, I can't hear you. I'm looking at a crystal ball.
Yeah,
la la la.
Yeah, they go down into his. Well, he ends up like living right there, and then you're like, oh, never mind. This dude literally lives here. False alarm. Not suspicious at all. Right. But his house is suspicious because he does have that crystal ball. Turns out he says he's a doctor of the occult arts, and that's like
he has a lot of rocks.
Yeah, a lot of crystals, some of which he can look in and see the future, and some of which he just sells to white ladies at the beach for a lot of money. Yeah, okay. So he's the doctor of the cults, and yeah, he gets into that trance, right? I thought that was so weird because, I really wasn't sure when I was watching that if there was going to be magic in this movie. Like, was that the type of movie this is? Ooh. Are we going to see, something a little supernatural? It was pretty convincing. Convinced me and convinced Dick enough that he was just going to sit there and let him speak his piece.
Yeah, see, like this part of the movie is like the Pulp Fiction briefcase for me, right? Because Starling starts freaking out because he's like, oh, there's 14 that'll die, blah blah blah, but there's a 15th. He is, and it ends up being him. So if there is magic, then that means that Starling was freaking out and he couldn't answer Dick Tracy because he saw his own death in the crystal ball.
Do you really believe that?
I would like to believe it.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, that whole number thing, I remember watching it and just being like, I don't know what is going on. What's he talking about? Numbers? Because at this time, there's two, I think maybe 3 people are dead, but
yeah.
He started throwing out 14, 15. I was like, holy shit, dude, this is going to be a serial killer. How long is this going to go on? Yeah. And I don't know. The cops come in, they ruin it. Dick Tracy's pissed. Can't handle that, and he like gets mad at them too. It goes to show that even if Dick Tracy breaks the rules, he's still like a quote unquote good detective, right? He's gonna get his work done, whereas other cops, they just don't give 2 fucks about what's going on. I feel like when they were taking him out of his little house that they were about to go beat him in the alleyway.
Yeah, for real. It's 1945, man. Probably would have beat him just for having that crystal ball.
Yeah. That's paraphernalia, dude. That's
yeah, right.
I'm arresting you for being weird.
Oh man, the witch hunt of 1945.
I'll write a book about it, dude. I'm sure there's one at the library.
There's a big picture of him in it, dude. Just like, oh, the crystal ball.
So people getting murdered, so on and so forth, and then we kind of just go through the plot. I'm not gonna lie, after the arrest, the doctor of the occult, I was a little disappointed. I felt like the movie slowed down a little bit.
There's like a mortuary guy, a mortician, and he's just weird and like just meant to be weird. You know what I mean? Like Deathridge. Yeah. His name's Deathridge. Like he's got death in the name. He's a mortician. brutal name, right?
Brutal
Like
job.
he's in a metal band, like, you know, he's moonlighting in a metal band, secretly writing the music that will inspire Black Sabbath in the 70s.
Well, 1945, probably a blues band.
Yeah, definitely, right? And the homie Starling, you know, he probably plays the drums, dude.
Then we
I don't
do
know.
eventually
but
to the
I got big
split
drummer
face, and
vibes
we get
too.
to see
Don't
what
worry.
he
yeah,
looks
yeah,
like.
right. Like,
And,
I
he's
mean,
Or
gotta keep a
keyboard.
scar on his
keyboard,
face.
definitely. Keyboard, are keyboards a thing yet in 1945?
Yeah, electric keyboards in
Or like an
1945.
organ. That's a big organ player, dude.
But I mean, is there organ music in bands? Like, can you take an organ outside of a church? You know,
And that's the revolution.
I mean, that's the electric keyboard, right? Like that's where that would, because you can just do whatever you want. Let me see. 1876 is the first electric keyboard piano.
What? No
That's pretty
way.
wild. Yeah, by
Dang.
someone named Elisha Gray.
The original Starling.
Maybe that's who Starling was based off of.
Maybe. And he was getting all that money from those letters he was sending to the split face victims to buy a new keyboard.
Yeah, that's what it was. Obsessed with the art.
Oh man. Or maybe just some like more crystal balls. How much, like those are probably expensive back then.
I don't know how much a crystal ball costs, but I'm assuming a good one, whatever that
how much
might be.
how much do you think one today is, like a nice one? I'm saying like $80.
I would pay $80 for a good one. And
Right?
if it came
like a
with
beginner one.
if it came with like a sick stand, you know, that was like carved like a dragon foot or something like that,
Ooh.
I'd pay $150 max.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
No more than that. I think at that point, you're a sucker.
Yeah. I mean, that's actual dragon bone, dude.
No. Yeah. It's just a Komodo dragon hand or something like that.
Oof, don't joke about that. You'd be cursed.
It's probably get you sick, bacteria.
Eesh. Anyways.
Yeah. Back to our plot. So yeah, we get to the point where we realize that, you know, the professor is helping Split Face. Oh, Dick Tracy was really onto it. And we meet Split Face. We see he's got the scar on his face. It's pretty cool. And then he, I got a question. Do you think Split Face is the first villain in pop culture with a scar on his face? Because that's like a pretty popular trope, you know?
Whoa. Well, I mean, I wouldn't know any before that. So
I wouldn't either.
I would have to say yes.
So that's a certified fact.
I
You heard it here first.
I'm
It's a
ready to die
certified
on that
fact.
hill.
Yeah, I am too. So I'm gonna say Splitface is the first scarred villain, if not the first popular scarred villain, right?
Yeah.
And
Like who are some of his kids? You know, like if he's the father, who are some of the other scarred villains?
every villain in anime.
Ooh, like Rurouni Kenshin.
I mean, he's not a villain.
Well, he's Split Face, who becomes a good Split Face.
That's true. If you give Splitface enough time, he'll become a good guy.
Yeah, you give him enough time.
Let him murder
will be
enough
crazy.
people.
Yeah.
He gets bored of it. Because that's really what happens in Rurouni Kenshin is he's, you know,
Oh, come on. That's that's really oversimplified.
he's Batosai the manslayer one day, and
He's
the
like,
next-
I'm bored.
yeah, he's like, I'm so over this. The war's over. There's nothing fun anymore. I'm gonna go settle down in a village.
Dang.
There, I just summed it up. Spoiler if you haven't heard watched that show.
It's a lot sadder than that.
Yeah. It's also a lot longer. So good luck.
Oh yeah.
The professor is an extortionist. The freaking the man himself, Splitface, brutally murders him. Probably my favorite part of the entire movie. I was just so surprised that he really went in on that knife.
I thought I was gonna be bored most of the movie. It's a very kind of slow movie, but then it goes there and you're like, what? Okay.
You were only bored like a little bit of the movie.
Yeah. I would say that first act is just, you know, it's a lot of building like Dick Tracy and who he is and all the side characters. But then once you get to that, where he chases him up the roof, everything kind of just goes up to 10.
Yeah. Well, are you talking about when he chases him up the roof at the end?
No, like from the point where he chases him up the roof and then he meets Starling, like I think the movie is so much more interesting.
Oh, I see. Yeah, yeah. You
And then
get
this
cooler
is the
characters.
culmination of that like second act, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
all of that building.
it's the middle, right? The end of the
Mm.
middle.
Yeah,
And so he stabs him, kills him, drops him through the window or whatever. And then
pretty brutal.
we kind of get the plot figured out. It turns out Split Face is just an ex-felon. He got the scar from when he was in jail. It's real. That was like a
Had to spend
big,
2 more years for it.
yeah, big reveal. 2 years tacked onto his sentence. He's bitter, definitely bitter. And it turns out the mayor was one of the jurors, and that's the connecting, string between all the deaths.
Yeah, I think he said he was in a business that was different from being in politics when he was on that jury.
Yeah, he's selling lies or some shit like that. I don't know.
Selling lies. Oh man, come get your hot, fresh lies.
Uh-huh. Right off the grill. I don't know. That mayor's a bitch throughout the whole movie. He does not take anything well, and he's just so selfish. Like, obviously, you're not the only person getting these death threats, but you're definitely acting like it.
There's a lot going on with the mayor, like as far as I guess commentary goes, in the small way that this movie is trying to, I guess, do it, because he's really the only like character that acts like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, everyone else is pretty down to earth, just ready
Everyone
to
else is chill.
deal with whatever life hands them, But he's just like,
Mm,
from the moment he gets that letter, he's on 10.
yeah. Yeah, like he says this thing where they're like, oh, maybe we can get you some bodyguards. And he's like, bodyguards? Those are the guys that shoot second. Like,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
not having it, man. Just paranoid.
I mean, at that point, just leave. Just
Right.
go on a vacay, dude. Um,
Oh, man.
so yeah, Split Face is a revenge killer. That's like the big thing. It was a little bit of a letdown when I found that out, just because I wanted him to be a little more, I guess, evil. But who knows? He obviously has some reason. Maybe he was innocent, maybe not. I don't really know.
it almost felt like it was ambiguous the way that they did the origin of Split Face, because they say that he murdered his girlfriend or something like that, and the jury convicted him, for the crime, and he swore revenge on all of them. But I for a lot of the movie, I didn't. I thought maybe he was falsely convicted, and they never really touched on that.
Yeah, you're giving him the benefit of the doubt big time.
I think it's just like modern viewer sensibility. Like I want to give him a little bit more complication. Like it feels like this movie is like he's a bad guy and he did do it and he's just a killer and that's why he's going to keep killing. And I think like that movie was made like today, it would be like, oh well, maybe there's a little bit more reason behind wanting to kill 14 people.
Yeah, maybe. Or maybe he's just a insane killer, Connor, that murdered his girlfriend or whatever it was, some insane thing. And then now that he got convicted, got out of jail. What's insane is that he did that, and then he gets 2 more years for probably killing the guy that stabbed his face. And then he's still out though. Like, did he break out? Did he get out on parole? Like,
Yeah, they don't really acknowledge that either.
there is no acknowledgement of it, and it is kind of a bummer that they don't give us a little more background, especially because I feel like the villain, it had so much potential.
No, definitely. And I think a lot of it is just you know, just a different time of making movies.
Yeah, definitely. I guess Dick Tracy was the main focus. Everyone just came to see the hero.
Yeah. I mean, it was a radio show, right? Like see the hero they know on screen.
Yeah, exactly. So the movie kind of wraps up after that relatively quickly. Split Face is, he's kind of on the run. People know who he is now.
Yeah. Kidnaps Dick Tracy's sweetheart and son.
Yeah, well, the son jumps on the back of the car, right?
Yeah.
In an attempt to be a hero. Don't be a hero, Hank. But he gets found out like an idiot. I mean, honestly, if that was my kid, I would be so pissed that he did that. You don't even have a gun on you, bro, or a knife or anything. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, I mean, he's got the power of science. The power.
He's got the power of dick in his bones. And so Split Face finds him, and they get into a pretty brutal fight.
Hey, that's a barn burner, dude. I loved that fight. I didn't think I was gonna love that fight so much. Like, I thought it was gonna be pretty cheesy, but
yeah, and quick. I thought it was gonna be 1-2 punch. He's done.
Dick Tracy's got those hands, man.
Yeah, he does. I mean, the guy who plays him is a pretty big guy, so I would hope that he'd have some kind of strength, and yeah, whoever those stuntmen were back in 1945, they deserve a little bit of a raise.
Probably like, ex-soldiers.
Maybe that'd be cool. But yeah, and then it gets wrapped up. Dick ends up whipping his ass. The scar ends up being real. And I think at the end of the movie, they've got him arrested, and he's just like, who's hungry? Let's go get something to eat.
Yeah. It's a real, well, we did it.
I know. And then as if nothing happened, I didn't almost die. My son almost didn't die. My girlfriend, or whatever you want to call her, didn't almost.
Sweetheart.
As if 4 people weren't actually murdered. It's just like, let's go get a hot sandwich and a nice, cool lemonade.
It makes me wonder more if a lot of the collection of detective shows, like, is Batman really their legacy, or is it more like Criminal Minds or CSI?
Yeah, I don't know. It does end with like him just picking up another case before he can even go eat.
Right.
So he probably just smokes a cigarette instead. You know how that goes. It's sometimes, smoking a cigarette's better than eating a sandwich.
What, dude? Did we see a lot of on-screen smoking on this one? Like, because the shadow strikes like everybody, like the whole movie, dude.
Yeah, compared to the shadow, I don't think they smoked as much. No.
Yeah.
It's definitely there though, I'm sure. But yeah, there's not as much. But yeah, he just ends with another case. And I think that because of that, the Law and Orders, like you said, the CSIs, I don't know, you don't really ever see a show anymore about just like one detective.
Yeah,
it's like a team.
Yeah, it's like what are those animes with all the characters in them?
Harems.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, that's the one you're thinking about.
Yeah, exactly.
A harem anime.
Yeah, and all the detectives, are unique and different and totally kawaii waifus.
Exactly. So yeah, Dick Tracy, man, he is the police we probably wish we all had. He's, hyper vigilant, emotionally invested, heart of gold, fists of granite.
Will break into your house
if he needs to find the clues. I think without Dick Tracy, though, there is no detective show. He is the original detective.
Mm-hmm. I think so too, man. Like, like I say, it's kind of like where is his legacy, and like maybe the answer is both. I thought that like we talked about, Split Face is sort of the beginning of, I guess, this trope of maniacs that we're going to see down the line. And what I'm kind of interested in is where, I was like, okay, maybe there's a little bit more depth here. When do we really start getting into that overanalyzation of the villains that the heroes fight?
Yeah, we get a little more depth within the villains themselves, maybe a little more kookiness, a little more screen time.
Style.
Yeah, style, definitely. Because ultimately the only unique thing about Split Face is that he's got the scar and a sick name.
Hey, that's a lot though.
That's a lot more than the last dudes in the shadow that were just like bloated mobsters. So I got some questions. The number one question we always ask, is this movie good, Connor?
I was entertained. I thought the first act, like I said, like the pacing was very defined as first act very lighthearted, second act we're turning it up, and I thought that the fist fight at the end kind of redeemed the whole movie for me.
So out of 10, what do you give it?
I will give it one more than I gave the Shadow Strikes. I'll give it a 7. Wasn't too bad.
Wow, you are so forgiving. I think I gave the Shadow a 5.5, and I'm going to give this one a 5. Honestly,
right.
I just, you have to see like what makes a good movie, you know, what makes an okay what movie. I think I'm just a harder grader than you probably.
I think so. I mean, I watch a lot of bad movies, and I like a lot of bad movies.
Is Dick Tracy a good hero?
Nah. Nah,
No.
I don't think so. I think Dick Tracy, like, I think when we start asking questions about like how we define heroes, like, I think that like as a hero, he's like a really good guy, you know what I mean? But I think that he's not above lying and breaking into people's houses and stuff. I like,
He's not a superhero yet.
yeah, like it's weird. He's a cop, you know what I mean? And
Yeah. So cops are
I'm
never
not saying
heroes.
cops I'm not saying cops are never heroes.
I am. Nah. Just joking, audience. Just joking.
I'm just saying that, like, you know what I mean? Like, Dick Tracy is just a guy doing his job, and maybe at the time that this was made, that was enough to be a hero. You know what I mean?
Definitely, definitely. I mean, I don't know what Dick's background is. Maybe he's a vet. Maybe he looks old, so I don't know. Maybe not. But he's definitely been around, and he definitely cares about his job. Like I said before, right? He's like
totally
very invested. He doesn't even give himself a chance to get a snack before he goes out on the next mission, man.
Doesn't even take his lady out on a date a lot of the time.
Yeah,
man.
he doesn't even get laid.
His son, like,
yeah, his son, who just like is so sad that he's obsessed with like forensic technology because that's the only way he can connect and talk to his dad, probably.
It's weird. They love the shit out of him, though.
Yeah, he loves him, but like it's like me, you know, like loving my favorite, I don't know, like book or something. You know what I mean? And hey, how you doing? I'm gonna read you once a year, and I'm gonna show you off and recommend you to people I meet. But
no, I mean, it's weird that like the wife and the son just like love the shit out of him, dude. Like they love Dick Tracy. She just complains, but she, you know what I mean? Like, of course they love.
Oh, you mean his sweetheart?
Yeah, his sweetheart. Like, why did I say his wife? Like, you know what I mean? That's so not in it at all. Like, I don't know why they just don't say that she's his wife. Like, it makes so much more sense. Like,
I think it's kind of more acceptable for him to be a widow than it is, and like a single widow than like a widow who's dating.
Is he a widow?
I don't know. That's the problem, is that they don't explain any of that. Once again, this is the same problem we experienced with The Shadow, is that this is a pre-existing, you know, program, and they just set you up as if you know who the fuck everyone is.
Maybe it's just because of the like the big amount of media that we have now. Like every time they make like a new DC movie with a new actor, like a new Superman or like a new Batman or you know what I mean, new Captain America, whatever, they're always gonna hash out this long origin story. Like sometimes I'm annoyed by it. Like I thought some of the newer DC movies, like I was kind of like, I already know, like we've been doing these characters for like a while, you know what I mean? And I get that you're trying to get new people into it, but at the same time, like, why can't we just have independent Batman or Superman stories without a whole origin story attached to it?
Yeah, no, it's the same thing, especially Batman, right? Like probably, I don't know. We're going to see, because we're going to watch every superhero movie, at least almost every superhero movie throughout the timeline. And we're going to be able to see, like, is Batman probably the most made, right? Is it the one character that people can just bet on? I think so. And there's so many Batman movies, and they fucking show the parents being murdered, at every single time. I think
Yeah.
even the Superman versus Batman one with Ben Affleck, I think they even mention it in a brief flashback there or something like that. Like if they don't show you the whole, oh, they're coming from the movie and then they decided to take an alleyway like an idiot, then it's like, oh, here's like a flashback of Batman with PTSD, and now he's having to deal with this because, no matter how many crimes he solves, he still can't solve that one. And it's unnecessary, man. It's super unnecessary. Whereas this movie, I would have loved a brief background.
Yeah, I get you.
Next question. Is this actor a good Dick Tracy in your opinion?
Yeah. I think, dude, I think he was fine. Like, he's kind of a one-dimensional character, Dick Tracy, and this guy plays that perfectly.
Yeah.
He's just super normal looking.
Yeah, he is normal looking. He's not like super handsome. He's not, they've got him in like a full suit the entire movie.
Yeah.
He never even takes his jacket off. So you don't get to see if he's like ripped or anything, but he's a bigger dude. So
how the movies have changed.
Yeah, right. I guess I don't even know. I wonder if people were even ripped back then. Like, was having like a six pack, huh?
Maybe it just didn't matter.
That's what I'm saying. In 1945, I feel like every time I see photos of people without a shirt on in 1945, they just got like dad bods, but they've got like big pecs and big biceps.
Yeah, that sounds
pencil
about
legs.
Right. Like they didn't exist yet.
No, it was not invented until at least like 30 years later.
Right. The Arnold Schwarzenegger era.
Yeah. Arnold came out and was like, I have an idea.
He invented leg day.
Yeah. So
it's not a scientific claim.
No, that's a certified Connor Hughes fact. So yeah, he's good, I guess. It's like I said in the beginning, people consider him the best Dick Tracy ever. So, spoiler alert, me and you don't exactly have a history with this character. So we don't necessarily know how everyone else is. But for him to be the favorite of like the super fans, I guess that speaks to something.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking about a character that's been around like almost 100 years now. Like there's gotta still be a following. Like I know they made a movie in 1990 that I assume we're gonna get to, right?
Oh yeah, I saw that with Warren Beatty. I'm interested to see it because, like I said, last episode, there's gonna be a Shadow movie from like a couple years before that with Alec Baldwin.
Oh yeah.
We're gonna get to see these two like 90s remakes relatively close to each other. It'll be cool to see which remake's better, and all that.
Definitely.
And the last question, who would you rather have on if you had like someone murder you murder someone you love, right? And who would you rather have on the case, Dick Tracy or the Shadow?
Oh man, that's a tough one, dude. I would say jeez. Wow, you really got me. You got me in a corner here, dude. I would want to say the Shadow because I think it would be more wacky.
Yeah, he's definitely more of a superhero vibe, right?
Yeah, from the two movies that we saw, like Dick Tracy will go throw hands and like you know what I mean, break into people's houses for you. But like the Shadow, I don't know, man. There's something about it that seems like the story about how it gets solved is going to be just more wacky, more interesting.
Yeah, and like unfortunately, Dick let a lot of people die before he got to the end of that case.
That's true. I didn't even think about that. But that's like the most relevant point, dude. Like, yeah. Some people died.
So did the Shadow, though. Like, in all fairness, like the old man dies. Like,
yeah, and then what is it? Winstead.
Winstead dies.
That's only two people.
2 versus 4. Hey. I know I got a little math on my side. Yeah, I guess I agree. It's definitely, the Shadow, while he's not as violent and he does have more of a, I'll do anything I need to. including being hard undercover for days at a time if that's what it takes to solve this crime.
Right. That's the real test. Dick Tracy's always Dick Tracy, but can he be somebody else?
Nah, he's a cop, man.
Yeah, the Shadow can be Dick Tracy if he wanted to.
If he needed to and no one knew what Dick Tracy looked like, he would immediately say he would do it if he needed to.
Therefore,
if we had to do a death match between the two, I think the Shadow wins. He's got a gun.
No. I think Dick Tracy wins that. I think Dick Tracy wins that fight, dude. Like all I'm saying is the best part of this movie was Dick Tracy fighting, Dick Tracy chasing Splitface. Like he's like a shark. Does he
have a gun though?
I mean, he's a cop. He's got to have a gun, right?
I just can't remember.
I don't think he pulled a gun,
but he had one on him.
He had one on him.
He preferred just to use his hands.
Yeah.
All right.
Maybe that's why he does it.
Well, I guess if that's the case, he's got a gun, then that means they're evenly matched. They've each got one pistol, and then they got hands. If for whatever reason the Shadow can't land that shot, then yeah, Dick Tracy whoops his ass.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah. Like I think the Shadow is smarter, but I think Dick Tracy is like tougher.
Yeah. Even if he gets shot, right?
Mm-hmm.
He'll battle through the gut shot. Dick Tracy gut shot, bleeding out.
Yeah.
He'll still take the Shadow out.
Oh yeah.
Dying breath, no problem. But he'll keep him alive, and he'll put him in handcuffs so that he'll get arrested and thrown in jail, because that's real justice.
Hey.
That's real justice.
Everything's forgivable as long as they go to jail, right?
Yeah. All right. I think that's the end of our show today. Thank you so much for listening. We'll be back next week with another exciting episode. Later.
Hey.